Coming to you live from Velma's Diner. This is Optimal Play. I'm Brandon.
I'm Troy.
And we have sat down and pulled a dusty box off my shelf. We're playing some Elder Sign today. You've played the base game before, right?
Yes, I have. Only the base game. Never played any of the expansion stuff.
Okay. I've dabbled in the expansions. I've played some and not others. But when I was trying to brush up on how the expansions work today, I couldn't find a video on YouTube. And so I figured since I needed to teach you anyway, I would hit the record button and share it with the world in case anyone finds this useful. So I am going to assume, dear viewer and Troy, that you've played the Elder Sign base game. I'm just here to tell you the differences between the base game and the Gates of Arkham expansion. Had I said that yet, the name of the expansion?
No, you had not specified. I was going to make a joke that we reached through the gates to pull out the dusty copy.
Smart, yeah.
But no, we had not announced specifically which expansion we were
This is the Gates of Arkham expansion. You know, if we have fun and get back together and play more of the expansions, maybe we'll do this again for those. But, so the setup for the game, it looks pretty similar. There are 6 adventure cards in play. One difference is that I shuffled the deck and dealt 3 of them face up and 3 of them face down. We'll talk more in a minute about what that has to do with anything. There are a couple new decks. We have this event deck. The Mythos deck is a entirely replaced Mythos deck.
Okay.
Used for Streets of Arkham. And then there is a talent deck, which they are abilities. They represent like courage and like kind of intangible things like that. They all have like a passive ability, and you can discard them to do something. But they're self-explanatory on the cards. I don't need to teach you anything more about those. The rest of the decks here you're pretty familiar with. We've got the common items, unique items, spells, and allies. I need to reach off camera and add the ancient one we're playing. Would you read the name of that for us?
The name is Yibtsil.
Okay, yeah.
All-seeing. After an investigator spins a clue, he must either lose 1 insanity or 1 stamina. Oh, I don't like that.
I mostly just wanted to hear you try to pronounce it.
Yibtsil.
TSTLL. It's a good one. Yeah, okay, that's gonna be fun. This is actually, you know, check out Optimal Play in the coming days after this is posted, and our playthrough of this will be up too. This is considered the easy difficulty one, so we better not lose when we play it.
Here's hoping.
But you can choose any of the ancient ones. They do, if they're from the Gates of Arkham expansion, then there is a new symbol that may be on them that opens gates. So I pretty much, when I'm playing in the Streets of Arkham, I use those ones because they make the most sense to use with it. And lastly, there is a new entrance card, the Streets of Arkham, which you put on the table. I may or may not have mentioned this. Like the Mythos deck that is all cards unique to kind of this version of Elder Sign, so is the Adventure deck. Ooh. So the entire museum thrown out. We're not
in a museum.
Maybe one of these cards is set in the museum, actually. I don't know. That would make sense, because now we're just in the city of Arkham.
Yeah, we must stop by a museum at some point as one stop. But
you would think. The last extra thing on the table here, I will talk about Curses and Blesses. Those are actually added in another expansion, but they do work with this expansion. And then there are these cards that have a membership to the Order of the Silver Twilight on one side, or to the Sheldon Gang on the other side.
Oh.
Yeah, we'll be partnering with some of Arkham's seedy organizations to help us here. So the goal of this version of Elder Sign remains the same. Throughout the game, Doom may be accumulating on the Elder Things card, and if the Doom track fills all the way up, in this case it would take 12 to do that, then the Ancient One awakens, and if that happens, then we have kind of a final last-ditch effort to kill it, otherwise we lose. We win by either beating it in that final fight, or by getting, in this case, 12 Elder Signs. And you get those primarily from rewards on the adventures, like you always did. What's new is, let's start with the face-down locations. Whenever an adventure card leaves the table, as long as there's, it's possible for there to be more than 6 on the table, but as long as there are less than 6, you'll deal out a new one. You'll deal it face down from the top of the deck. You do get to see the top of the deck. so you'll kind of know what's coming. But you'll deal it face down. You won't flip it until you go there in your movement phase. That's when you'll finally flip it and reveal what the tasks that you'll need to complete with the dice actually are. But in the meantime, the text on the back of them applies. So like here on the unnameable, we can see at midnight, each investigator loses 1 sanity.
I don't like that.
Yeah, me neither. So the way to get that off the table is to go there, flipping the card over. However, this card might have at midnight each investigator loses 2 sanity on the other side, or it might have nothing. It's not necessarily going to get better for us just because you went there.
Sure enough.
The other feature on these cards is the difficulty of the adventure inside is kind of telegraphed by whether it's green, yellow, or red, with green being the easiest and red being the hardest. And then they don't all have that midnight effect. Some of them have, this is actually the main way that you use trophies now, is when you go to locations. For example, Yield Magic Shop says you may spend 3 trophies to gain 1 spell. And that just happens at the moment that you flip it over, and then that opportunity is gone.
Yeah, I was wondering, because in the base game, I think it was like you had 12 or like 7 trophies, you could turn them in to get a Elder Sign.
Yeah, that's
I saw that we couldn't do that anymore.
Yeah, they got rid of that, I think, in the first expansion, because that was such an anticlimactic way for that game to end.
Yeah, and also it required so much effort of the trophies. That's all you focus your trophies on generally, too.
Yeah. You had all these other things you could spend them on, but you usually didn't because you were saving for Elder Sign. So positive change, and yeah, that's the case here. The Streets of Arkham, this entrance is different, and it's different in a couple ways. It has less ways to spend your trophies. It just says you may spend 2 to do one of the following, and I'll let you read the options on your own time, viewer, but it also says then move to the Arkham adventure of your choice. So you can do this if you end your movement phase in the Streets of Arkham. You can spend 2 trophies to do one of these things and move. So unlike, I think, previous versions of the entrance, you can like use the entrance and do an adventure in the same turn.
Yeah, definitely in the base game, you were stuck at the entrance for your turn.
Right. So when you go to adventures, there's a couple new features that might be on them. One, I don't have any examples of this on the table, is entry effects. If the effect says entry : something and then some text, that text will apply whenever an investigator enters that location. And then I should have manipulated the table to have an example of this, but some adventures, like this police raid, have this event icon on them. So that's new. That means that whenever you attempt an adventure there, or whenever you spend your resolution phase, right, to attempt this adventure, you will draw an event card from this event deck, and it will be something that happens right now, can be good or bad. In fact, I actually kind of look forward to these. I find they're good quite often. An example, though, is Peace and Quiet. Return 1 monster on this adventure to the Monster Cup. That's great.
Good. That's real great.
Yeah, so we'll just leave that on top so that we get... No, I'm kidding. I'll shuffle that deck, but...
Just a question, though. What is this portion that seems new to this card?
That's a great question. I mentioned that you can be a member of the Silver Twilight Lodge or the Sheldon Gang, and you gain those memberships by a card effect saying you gain them. Okay. There's no real rules to learn about how to get them. The rules, though, are that you can only have one or the other. So if you are already a member of the gang and you want to join the Twilight Lodge, you have to just flip this card over. They're double-sided. You can only be in one or the other. And then what they're useful for is that some adventures have an icon like this, where if you're a member of the red, here is the Sheldon Gang, they take care of that task for you. You don't have to do it at all.
That's cool.
That's just completed when you go in. Yeah. Also, down here in the rewards area, if you successfully resolve the adventure, then there is an extra reward in this red shaded area that you also get if you're a member of the Sheldon Gang. In this case, you would get an ally. Otherwise, if you're not a member, you would just get the clue and the common item that's there.
Okay.
Order of the Silver Twilight is blue iconography, but otherwise works exactly the same. So, man, that was a good card that I put out there to be an example. Okay. The clock works pretty much the same as it always has. At the end of each investigator's turn, it will move. There's also going to be a lot of both symbols and tasks, but also in punishments and rewards that advance the clock. So I don't think that the game needed this rule before, but if the clock hits midnight twice on the same turn, because it advanced so many times, I've seen this happen, this is not that rare, then you still will only draw 1 Mythos card at that phase of your turn, and you take a Doom for each extra time it hit midnight.
Oh.
Yeah. So, not great.
Not great, but at least it's only 1 Mythos. So there's some little break.
Yeah.
Reprieve.
Mythos cards work the same as they did, where they have something that generally happens now, and then something that happens either for the next day or the next time the clock strikes midnight. They're just more tailored to the streets of Arkham. And then the name of this expansion was Gates of Arkham. There's a reason. There are gates. These are standees, actually, that I have removed from their stands to make them play better on camera. And whenever an other world location opens now, you don't just add it there as a place you can go. You add it face down to the table.
Oh.
You put a gate of your choice there, and you put the other gate on one of the adventures. So like this Terrified Guest adventure now has the gate to this other world. As long as this other world remains on the table with this gate on it, you cannot either go to or resolve the Terrified Guest. In fact, if you were there when this happened, you would get sent back to the entrance.
So you ideally wouldn't want to put it on yourself.
Probably not.
Unless you felt like it was a terrible location that was going to hurt you and you couldn't complete it. Maybe?
Right. Yeah. There's some strategy to which locations are we not probably going to for a while.
Yeah.
Their text still applies, so if you put a gate on something with an at midnight effect, it's still going to hammer you.
Okay.
So you got to keep that in mind. And then the other worlds do interface down until you go there and flip them, just like other adventures. They don't have text on the backs, but you still have to face check them, so that is fun.
So could we have 6 gates?
No, there are only 3 gates. There's 3 colored pairs.
Of course, no, yeah, 1 to 1, yeah.
But if a gate would open and all 3 are in play, you summon a monster instead.
Okay.
And when you close a gate, so when you have flipped this card, successfully resolved it, because of course you would on your first try, and the gates are removed, the adventure that had the gate on it gets sealed. So that location cannot have a gate again. So that forces us to not just have one that we don't care about and put all the gates on forever.
Okay.
And then if ever a gate needs to open and there are gate tokens available, but there are no unsealed locations to put it on, then you remove all the seals and place a doom. So it just causes extra doom. Yeah.
Interesting.
So that's something to avoid. I think the main other thing, and let me know if you see anything else on the table that I'm missing, but is just to talk about the Curse and Bless dice. This was added in the Unseen Forces expansion, but it is shown in the rewards and punishments on here. In fact, because these did not come with this Gates of Arkham box, anytime that Curses and Blesses appear on the adventures, it is a choice. It'll be like, do you want to be cursed or place a doom? And if you don't own the expansion with the curse, you just have to take the other choice.
Gotcha, okay.
Kind of a clever workaround.
That's interesting, yeah.
Yeah, so what Blesses and Curses do is you will, if you become blessed or become cursed, you will take that card. It's also double-sided, and like the Sheldon Gang and Silver Twilight Lodge, they are mutually exclusive. If you are blessed, then whenever you roll dice for an adventure, whenever you start resolving an adventure, you will add the white blessing die to your pool. It is, I'm going to fact check this before I say it, yes, it is identical to a green die. So it might as well be you have a 7th green die.
Huh.
But it's on a player by player basis, so since you are blessed, only you roll it. You'll use it just like you would use green dice to complete an adventure. You lose your blessing if you ever fail an adventure, or if you would become blessed, they cancel each other out. You don't actually blessed, become cursed. You cancel each other out. I can't talk. If you would become blessed again, something actually does happen. You gain I'm forgetting what it is. I'll put it on the screen right here. I think you can gain a unique item, but I will fact check that one.
Yeah.
I don't think I've ever seen that come up. Blessings are rare enough that I don't think I've ever already been blessed and gotten another blessing. If you gain a curse, you just lose your blessing.
Yeah.
And then what?
Well, then there is one last thing.
Yeah.
When the Ancient One awakens, you also discard blessed.
Oh, yes, that's printed on the card, right.
Yeah.
I just always win before that happens, so it never comes up. Yeah.
Easy.
The curse works a little differently. I'm also checking this before I say it. This black die also has all the same faces on it as a green die, but it is bad for you to have in your pool. You must roll it into your pool if you have the cursed card. but you, after you roll your dice, let's see if this happens here. Perfect. If your cursed die matches any of your other dice, you must immediately discard them both.
Oh, that's brutal.
And the curse doesn't come back again on your next roll, but it does come back again at the start of each adventure as long as you remain cursed. You lose your curse if you become blessed or if you succeed at an adventure.
Okay.
So if you can succeed despite the curse, it goes away. It's usually not on you for that long if you can find an easy adventure. If you, and this one I remember because this is scary, if you are already cursed and you would become cursed again, you're just devoured. Completely.
As you do.
Yeah, completely destroyed. You gain doom, choose another character, all the stuff that you do when a character is defeated.
Ooh, don't love that.
I think that's it. Any last questions before we call that a definitely thorough and correct learn to play video?
I can't think of anything else. I think we've addressed everything that I can see on the table.
Cool. Well, thank you for listening. Thank you for watching. Again, we're about to sit down and with this is the real setup, other than I'm going to shuffle that event deck that we're going to play with. So check out Optimal Play, subscribe while you're here, and see how we fared in the...
We're going to win.
Yeah. I'm sure. That's Eldersign's a notoriously easy game. Yeah, no doubt about it. All right. See you then. Till then, be optimal.